In today's episode, I will be talking about House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 1, titled A Son for a Son. So let's jump right into A Son for a Son. Do something, man. People are questioning you. Shut up. Shut up. Okay, yep, do that. Sure, guys. Stupid and dumb. Just an idiot. Get your shit together, son. Fuck it. I loved it. Welcome to the dub cast. So starting off the episode, we had our nice little recap. Props to HBO/Max for the little recap there. Thought it fulfilled everything that I needed to know, basically. Touched on all the major characters, all the plot points from last season, and just to go over my history with Game of Thrones. Binged it all in the summer of 2022. Took me about 4 months to finish, and then right after that was House of the Dragon. So was able to watch House of the Dragon. Didn't watch it live though. Watched it a day or a couple after. Really liked season one though. I thought it was good. Different story for Game of Thrones, but still has that super high production value. So super eager to get to season two, which ended up coming out 2 years later. So here we are, or a year and a half later, I think. So we're thrust right in. We get our music to jump, and man, I missed this music on listening to it. The theme song, listening to Game of Thrones music. You know, you're just gonna get a good ass episode. And in my opinion, I think we got a pretty good episode tonight, slash yesterday, whenever this comes out. But I really enjoyed this first episode. May have been a little slower overall, just because they kind of have to lead into things and set the background and set where everything's going to go. But I thought they did a good job of that. I was genuinely intrigued throughout the whole show. Never was a moment where I was personally like bored or on my phone or doing anything. I was locked right in for this hour long episode. So yeah, basically that just started from me saying the theme song. But overall thoughts on the episode, thought it was good. Let's continue on. So the theme song, I'm pretty sure it is new now. I don't really specifically remember what the imagery was for the theme song. I'm sure most of you guys just skip the theme song because it's right there on the Max channel. But I actually like to go through the theme song at the beginning and the end of the season or the end of the show. So looks like there's a ton of new images on the theme song. I'm sure it's all important, all these images, but I just could not be bothered to pause and try and figure everything out. That is not my job. That is for someone else to do. And so maybe I'll watch one of those videos that explains every single thing that happens in the theme song. But I just like the music, like the animation style they have there. I think I like the last season's better so far, though. Maybe this one will grow on me, even though I may not even watch it ever again. But okay, so now we're done with the theme song. We started off with our Night's Watch, which was an awesome way to open the season. As last season we ended with Luke heading to Storm's End. Obviously, he is mauled by Aemond and his dragon Vhagar. So we didn't really know what happened to Rhaenyra's other son on this journey to Winterfell, but we meet Kragon Stark, and he kind of takes him through the history of the Wall. Kragon explains that the dragons actually wouldn't go past the Wall, so this leaves me to the question of trying to understand what it was that made Daenerys' dragons go by the Wall in season 7 and 8, but we don't need to talk about those two seasons. Just another cool scenic shot here of the Wall and the Castle Black, and north of the Wall, Kragon's explaining everything that is out there with the Wall, and he asked him like, so what is out there besides people and like outsiders and animals? He's like, death. And that leaves us there with the Starks also agreeing to honor their loyalty and oath to Rhaenyra. So they're going to give them graybeards who have had enough of the winter. Later on, we come to find out this is 2000. So interesting to note here. We got the North teaming up with the Blacks. I'm here for it. love the North in the original Game of Thrones, so I'm excited to see this team up here between them and the Blacks moving forward. So also when Kragon Stark says winter is coming, it sounds exactly like Jon Stark. I mean, not Jon Snow. I don't know why it does, but just to me, I was like, is that Jon Snow saying that? Thought that was super similar when they said it. So we cut back to Daemon, and it appears Rhaenyra has gone on leave. Daemon immediately wants a son for a son, which respect. Also episode title here, son for a son, but he wants Aemond or one of Alicent's son in return for his son dying. And this is all kind of adjacent to last season where we had the eye for the eye, obviously, where Aemond loses his eye and then he wants to take an eye out, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. But yeah, honestly, this happened a couple of days ago. I'm with Daemon here. Like, you got to get some revenge. It's got to be some spite in you. It appears Rhaenyra is missing, so Rhaenys is going to come back on her dragon as well. Apparently, she's been out with the fleet trying to set up this blockade and patrolling the sea with him. So Daemon's like, let's go kill him right now with our dragons. With 2-on-1, we can do this. And she's like, nah. I gotta rest. We gotta let Rhaenyra find the remains of her son, and then she'll be able to have some clarity, and we can move forward in this beginning of this war. So after the scene, I think I agree with both of them. Daemon calls her out for not pulling the trigger when she destroyed the kind of theater place when Aegon was being coronated. If in one fell swoop, literally just one word, she could have taken out the whole line of Greens, Aegon, Alicent, everyone, but she didn't do that. I don't know why she didn't do that when you're already killing like 500 innocent civilians, but hence here we are. So you should have done that. That was my biggest gripe of last season, is why not just pull the Dracarys trigger, like, end this shit. The show doesn't even need to run, but now I know we gotta get season 3 and season 4. So, but I also agree with Rhaenys. You gotta chill out a little bit, Daemon. I know you're hot. I know you're well, this isn't your son, but your adopted son is dead, and this is an act of war, and they've usurped the throne. But you gotta chill out. You gotta let her find her remains. Let everything cool off a bit, so you can have rational heads here and try and figure this all out. So I thought this was an interesting dynamic between these two characters early on. Also to mention that Daemon was married to her Rhaenys' daughter, and she brings that up when she killed herself with the dragon, and they got the remains. So interesting dynamic here to watch moving forward. So we get finally my boy Corlys is back in action. He's got the cane walking around. He is talking to a guy named Aline or Alan. Either way, they are trying to fix up his ship, so he wants to really get out there and start this sea battle and blockade and make sure that he can be participating in all of this. And Corlys, being the good dude that he is like, thank you for saving my life. You're a boss for that. And Aline looks really happy. He's like, thank you for a second, and then goes back to normal business. But Corley's got the boys preparing everything. Seems like they're working hard on the ship and stuff. So blockade and navy obviously is an advantage to Corley's and Corley's and that crew. So Team Black strengthening up their sea battle here. So we got the Scorpion introduced again, which controversial. Game of Thrones season 7, 8. Again, not to rehash everything, but basically, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the Scorpion is that bow they used to shoot the dragons. So the Greens got it on lock. They're ready to pull it out because they were expecting the Blacks to pull up at any moment. But it's just Vhagar. It's just Aemon, so they take it down. So good to note here that we got the Scorpion ready, probably on both sides. It's probably going to play a factor at some point or another. Honestly, a pretty decent weapon, so I don't know. I thought, well, maybe the aiming was crazy by the guy in Game of Thrones, but we don't need to get into that. This is House of the Dragon. Anyways, moving on. My girl Helena, underrated character, slept on character. Obviously, she has a big moment at the end of this episode, but early on, she seems to predict the future, and she says I'm worried. And Aegon's like, what are you talking about? What are you worried about? And she's like, I'm worried about the rats. And he's like, what rats? What about the dragon? She's like, no, not the dragons, the rats. And at this point, I didn't know what it meant, but I just wrote it down because I knew something important was going to happen later on with it. So once again, Helena has been correct. I think that's her third or fourth thing, being keen on and knowing ahead of time. So that's something to watch moving forward. I know she has these like vivid dreams slash visions, so I'm liking her development so far. She's gonna take care of all the kids because Aegon's an asshole, and he seems like he's not really being nice to her. But maybe we'll get justice for Helena. So moving on, we have Sir Kristen Cole and Alicent getting it on. What is there to say about this? I didn't remember. I had to look this up because I didn't remember if last season they were together or not at any point. But of course, Cole is going to sleep around with as many people as he can because he is a simp. And we saw this with Rhaenyra last season where he was like, marry me and forget everything you have. You're the heir to the throne, but who cares about that? And being the ruler of the realm, why don't you just get married to me and we can go like be peasants in a shitty country? Like, he's losing sense of reality. As Kingsguard, you're not supposed to be sleeping with anyone, I don't think. Actually, that might not be true, but sleeping with the queen is a dangerous game. Well, whatever her title is, I'm fucking up all this shit, but whatever. I don't know. Even Alicent knows that this is wrong. She's like, we cannot do this again. But of course, later on, we see that they do it again. As far as this pairing goes, I think Alicent could do better. Honestly, I think honestly she's really not had a good history with men because Viserys was ugly and old, and Cole is, I mean, he's young and attractive, but he's a piece of shit. We don't like Cole. So, Alicent, find a better man for you. It's clear that you need some sort of sexual pleasure. I advise you to find somebody else because Kristen Cole will simp for you and he will go in way too deep and he's going to lose his shit again. So, this could be something to watch moving forward, actually. Early prediction, I think Cole erupts when this relationship is forced to end. So, you heard it here first. I haven't watched anything in advance, by the way. I'm just making a prediction. Anyways, moving on to our small council meeting for Team Green. Aegon insists on bringing Jaharis to the small council meeting, which is their youngest son. He's going to be the heir to the throne. Actually, maybe their only son. I don't know. It's hard to keep track with all these kids, all these Targaryens, but essentially he's going to be the heir to the throne. And I didn't realize the depth of this scene at the beginning, and once you're able to see the end of the episode, you can understand why these things happen the way they do. I thought that this was just a thing of Aegon being an asshole and just bringing a kid. The kid's like fucking with Tyland Lannister. He's like picking up that ball thing, which is the coolest thing in House of the Dragon, the balls they have on the council table. But yeah, he's not gonna make it long because Aegon eventually is like, all right, get out of here. He was about to make him go on a ride with Tyland Lannister. I don't know what that was all about. Aegon's clearly just drunk with power and being himself, which is just, he can't help it, but he's also the king of the realm, so it's just like a weird combination as we will continue to monitor that situation. I think that's mostly it for Aegon, but we'll keep an eye on that moving forward. So, fucking Aemond pulls up, looking sly as ever. Classic Aemon, just having the most douchiest look ever, just being sly and like, I can't with this guy. He's not even invited to the small council meeting, but he just pulls up and has this fucking dumbass grin on. Yeah. He's like, I'm the best sword, I'm the best army, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. Everyone's like, you gotta like stop doing this thing at these meetings because you're not in power at all. But yeah, so that's basically all that happens from the small council meeting. There's some other smaller things discussed, but who cares about war plans? We got drama to cover. So, cut back to Rhaenyra. We have her still looking for Lucerys, still looking for his remains in the wild. She's on this rock at the beginning of the episode looking sad and just angry, of course, and now she is again still looking, and she's able to spot fishers about 100 to 200 feet away. She flies in with a dragon. Looks like they've got something, so she's interested, goes with her dragon. They all scram immediately, and I think it's something to note that pretty much everyone is basically scared of a dragon, which is obviously you got to be, but all these people just run away immediately. And there's this really emotional scene where she finds the wing of the dragon that Lucerius was riding, and his cloak. Obviously, the way that things happen that we saw on last season, there's not a lot of remains to him, which is unfortunate. I felt really bad for Rhaenyra in this scene, but now she has her clarity, she has her answers, she has her motivations. Everything is all settled in that aspect. She found the remains, so we're gonna get Rhaenyra back to do something later on in this episode, but she doesn't really have much else to do. But she does do one thing, so we'll talk about it in a second. So moving back to the Team Green side of things, we have Aegon holding court, answering petitions of the common people, and he tries to. The first person is talking about sheep. They lost 10% of their sheep, and they want them back because they need it for their livelihood and whatever. But the crown has taken them to feed to the dragons to become more active. So Aegon's like, let's just give him the sheep back, and Otto's got to be like, listen, if you give him the sheep back, you will also have to give every herder back their sheep, and we will be out of sheep for the dragons. So, as usual, Otto's basically running this whole thing. Aegon takes back a statement, and we can see during the next two questions that Otto is upset with, not upset, but just disagreeing with Aegon. There's definitely some dissension there where it feels like Aegon isn't really the king that he wants to be. I don't know. Well, obviously, we'll talk in a second about who tries to make their efforts, but I think this is definitely something to monitor moving forward as well as the dynamics between Otto and Aegon. Obviously, Otto has this storied past. They mentioned in this episode, hand for three kings. He knows what he's doing. I think there's an argument out there that he was the one playing the best Game of Thrones in the first season, the way he maneuvered everything. But I guess that's for time to tell, as we might have a replacement for him. So the man named Larys is slithering around, being his usual snake. Also another frontrunner for playing the best Game of Thrones last season. Wow, this guy has schemes because of his own brother, obviously. So he's going to make shoot his shot to be the hand of the king to Aegon. Pulls him aside privately, gives him the old compliment sandwich, like, you're a great king, but Otto's holding you back. I see that you're not really working together well. He's actually drops in on these petitions that I just previously mentioned, and he's watching everything go down. So I don't know. Will we see Larys replace Otto this season? I think that's a possibility. Obviously, Larys is playing up to a bigger picture here. We don't really know what his full ideas and capability. Well, we know what his capabilities are. But we don't know like what he's really looking for in all of this. So I guess that'll be something to watch moving forward. Larry's replacing Otto. I'm all set with Otto, obviously, but I also don't like Larry's. I'm Team Black, by the way, if you couldn't guess, but I don't like either of these guys. I think they're both really good at what they do, so I honestly don't think it's going to matter much into the future. Maybe if Larry's takes over for Otto, then it becomes more of a shit show and more violent. It seems like Otto knows to keep it professional, to put it in simple terms, but that is something we are going to watch moving forward here. So, I keep mispronouncing these names, I'm sorry. Aemond is still mad, apparently, over everything. He wants Still and I to be taken out. Brother, you just took out a dragon. You just took out a son and a dragon on the other side, and now you just started a war. You want somebody's eye, bro? You just got a whole fucking body, man. What are you mad about, bro? Like, this guy needs to fucking take a chill pill, relax, take a deep breath, realize you started this whole fucking shit, Aemond. What are you doing, bro? God. It seems like he's a loyal soldier for Aegon. They've mended fences. It's where last season it seemed like they were kind of different characters and weren't really going to align, but apparently Aemon's going to ride for Aegon no matter what happens now, so that's something to watch. But Aemon, bro, why are you still mad? You should be happy. You got your revenge. He was upset when it happened. I think he just views these as two separate situations, but in reality, at least stop caring about the eye. That doesn't matter. At this point, you have a nice, cool blue diamond eye, so who cares? anyways, we are going to move back to Team Black. I'm kind of noticing through my notes that basically we're just alternating between the camps like mid episode, which I appreciate. Got to show both sides. So we have the brother from last season, the two brothers who are King's Guards. They split. One becomes Team Black, one becomes Team Green. Damon is being so mean to this guy. He's like, I really pledge allegiance to you guys. Like, we trained all our lives to be King's Guard. We're supposed to respect the king no matter what, but I knew you guys were the right side, so I'm staying with you. And Damon's just being shitty to him. He's like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Like, you can't do this. You're not this. You should go try and kill Aemon right now. Like, we got to start this war, blah, blah, blah. So, my boy Damon, you got to chill out. Damon's my favorite character in this series so far, but he's got some mean streaks in him where he just goes batshit and it results in too much. Me saying too much, Damon, you gotta chill. And this was one of those instances. Him slapping Rhaenyra last season is something else that pops to mind immediately. So Damon's got hot streaks. You gotta chill out, man. So Rhaenyra flies right back in to the small council meeting that has been waiting for her for probably 2 or 3 days at this point, is what they mentioned in the show. And right away she says, I want Aemon dead. We had Damon try and recommend something to her. Another person recommended something, but she wants Aemon dead. Obviously, she would want that. It's probably a lot of hate in her heart for Aemon, who killed her son. So we will see what happens there, and shortly after we see the scene of Rhaenyra and her other son reconnecting from his journey to Winterfell and the other place that I'm forgetting. But this is a really sad scene as well, where he tries to be the professional, Your Honor, and tries to give the report of his trip, but he had been informed at Castle Black what happened to his brother, so he's not even able to finish out his sentence here. He starts crying, they start crying, they both start crying, and they share an embrace here, and yeah, I'm just sad for Rhaenyra here and her son, obviously still mourning the loss of their brother and other son, which happened only a couple days ago in Showtime. So, yeah, R.I.P. Luke / Lucerys. So, also on the other side of things, we have Alicent in the place where you light candles, the keep, and she lights a candle for all the people she lost. We see her light a candle for Viserys, which is good because Viserys was a boss, and good to see that she still respects him. I think deep down she did love him a little bit, so nice to see that there. And then obviously the big question is going to be, will she light one for Lucerys? And it seems like there's a moment of hesitation, but she does it while crying. It's obvious to me she did not want this to go down this way. This kind of triggered the whole war. So unfortunately for her, it happened. It's time to deal with it, but obviously in her world she kind of wants this thing to be non-violent, as we see the conversation with her and Otto actually shortly after this, where Otto's like, listen, there's going to be a little violence in this, we got to agree on that. It can't just be all fairy tales and rainbows like you want it to be. And she's like, yeah, I guess I have to understand that. So Alicent, honestly, I did not like her in season 1, but she's growing on me a little bit. Clearly she did not want all this to happen, but it did happen, so she's got to deal with it. She's obviously in one of the most powerful positions, so sorry girl, we're in it now. So I don't know, Alicent, his motivations, and will she apparently sent letters to Rhaenyra to try and reconnect things. Obviously she's not going to answer that, but the effort is being made to redeem herself in the audience's eyes, and what she feels like she did wrong. So even though she's getting on with Cole, but we'll see it anyways, what happens with her. So Damon goes on his little task here. His side quest is to sneak into the King's Landing. He actually, we'll talk about the White Worm, I guess, a little bit. So she is the rat, basically, from last season, where she just sold out information pretty easily. They come into contact with her, the Blacks do, take her hostage, and she's like, all my things are transactional, so Damon offers her a transaction, her life to be free, in order for him to know the secrets of the King's Landing and the people who don't like Otto and the Hightowers. So that is an agreement that is made, and Damon is headed to King's Landing, where he sees this guard who doesn't like the Hightowers. He lets him in. keep their eyes down, whatever. And then they go to this rat trapper, which is an interesting job to have back in the days of castles. But his name is Cheese, and they ask him, does he know the shape of the tunnels? And he gives the quote of the episode, "I know them better than the shape of my own cock." Just a funny line there from the rat killer Cheese. So we get this really intense scene at the end of the episode between Cheese and Money, I think his name is. But they're going to go on this hunt for Aemond in the castle. And before this, we see Aemond and Cole scheming. They obviously don't agree with everything at the small council table, but they are in two roles where they can't really speak up. They're in slightly less powerful positions than the people in the council. So, wonder if they'll get their way or what they want to do. Otto comes in and is like, yo, you got to chill out a little bit. Like, I know you want this thing to go one way, but we got to do it our way. He kicks Cole out, obviously, before that, but interested to see where this green dynamic lands. It seems like they're a lot more disorganized than what everyone wants. At least on Team Black, they know what everyone wants and they kind of have one clear motivation. They just have different ways of going about it. I guess it's kind of the same for both sides early on here, but it's something to move forward, something to watch moving forward. And basically, the rest of this episode is Money and Cheese on their mission, and they stumble their way into the bedroom of Helena and the two young sleeping children. Obviously, the scene of the episode here. Actually, I want to mention Cheese kicking the dog. Fuck you, animal rights, PETA. Fuck you. Don't kick dogs. But they are going to find their way into Helena's bedroom, and they are going to kill the boy, Jaharis, the heir to the throne. They couldn't find Aemon, so they settle on a young boy. They have no problem doing it. Wow, this was a crazy scene. Helena is questioned whether to tell the truth about the boy or the girl, which one's which. She ends up doing the right thing in her mind, which is telling them the boy because she fears retribution for her own life. Yeah, Damon wants the head, so Cheese and Money get right to it, man. Wow, and just like that, Game of Thrones is back. We are killing kids in episode 1, man. I'm excited for the rest of the season. Helena rushes into the bedroom of Allison, and shocker, her and Cole are doing it. Helena seems to have no problem walking in on them having sex, obviously running for her life with the girl. And she says they killed the boy, and we fade to black. That is our episode. So, really kind of a slow lead up here. I enjoyed most of this episode. I'm always here for the Game of Thrones, shooting the shit, basically. Just watching the characters interact with each other, especially this world that's already been drawn out so much. So I really like this episode. I'd probably give it like a 4 or 4.5 stars out of 5. What you guys think of it? Let me know in the comments or Q&A on Spotify. But as usual, I will give my favorite and least favorite character of this episode. So favorite character goes to Damon. He schemes the plan to try and assassinate Aemond, which doesn't really work the way he thinks it's going to work, but it has its way of working, where they successfully kill a son. He also uses the White Worm to his advantage, a person who he had bad history with. So Damon, just being my overall favorite character and no one else really standing out to me, gets my favorite character of the episode award. My least favorite is going to go to Aemond. He's still being mad and uptight about something that people are upset with him over, and he's just got to get over his shit, and he's got to move on, man. It's over. Like, chill. Take a step back, look at what you've done. It's okay. You're never going to get your eye back, so you might as well live positively, man. So that's going to do it here for House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 1, A Son for a Son. As I said before, what do you guys think of it? And appreciate everything you guys have been giving on the YouTube videos, the likes. They make my day. So keep them coming. Spotify listeners out there, salute to you too. Anywhere, any other platforms, Amazon or Apple, whatever you guys are listening on, I appreciate it a lot. So yeah, stay tuned for more content. We got Acolyte episode 4 Tuesday, Brokeback Mountain review at some point soon, hopefully. Waiting on the other members of my movie club people to finish watching that. So yeah, should be still stocked with content, still coming out with stuff. So appreciate you guys, and see you in the next one.